Today, Paul will talk about the importance of competing and participating in contests as part of your Toastmasters experience. Please help me welcome Paul Bruneforte.
Hello, everybody. How many of you have been to an international conference? 1, 2 people. 3 people have been to an international conference. Well, I've been at Toastmasters for 33 years, and this was my first one. Now, years ago, they had regionals, and I had gone to the regionals, but the people I were following never made it to the finals, so I didn't go either. But this year, you go to the finals for the semifinals. And I sat there realizing I had been missing out on this fabulous experience, even though I wasn't competing. I could have gone. There were 3,000 people there and only 100 contestants. It's the closest thing I ever came to being in the Olympics. 142 people from different countries came in, holding their flags, wearing the garb of their native country. And I sat there mesmerized. It was a fabulous experience. But it was a long journey. I joined Toastmasters 33 years ago, ostensibly to improve my opportunity to move from accounting into marketing, which I did succeed in doing. I became the VP of marketing. I attribute much of that to Toastmasters. But I know how a lot of people feel. I felt the same way as many people did about competing in contests. So for the first year or so, I didn't compete. I was the president of a company. What do I need to compete for? But I had a mentor, and the mentor told me, every time you compete, you will grow. Whether you win or not, you will grow. And he wouldn't let me off the hook, and he said, you got to compete. So I said, okay, what's the easiest thing to compete in? Well, table topics. All you have to do is just show up, you stand there, they ask you a question, and if you're really good, you'll win the contest. But even when you lose, and by the way, I have won all the contests, but the other flip side of that is I have lost a lot of contests. I've been in contests literally every year for 33 years. I always get in a contest every year. So I've lost a lot of contests. And I grew each and every time I lost. But fortunately, I won the District 3 Table Topics contest, and it was really exciting. Hundreds of people, they're drinking and eating, and you're on stage. And I thought, I get it. I can see the benefit of doing this in front of 500 people. And what I learned is as you grow, you become fearless. You're no longer intimidated no matter what the size of the group is. After losing, you'll lose and then you win an area, and then you'll lose a division, and finally you win a division, and then you'll lose at the division, and then you go to the district and you lose a couple of times. But each and every time you grow, which is part of the Toastmaster experience. How many of you have ever introduced someone to Toastmasters? Okay, everybody. You have to kind of twist their arm and get them to join. I mean, I'm responsible for hundreds of people joining Toastmasters, and I love when they come back and tell me a year or two later how much benefit they got from it. And I know that if you compete in contests, you will grow and you will appreciate that little tiny growth you got, even if it's losing. You learn to lose with Elon. You smiling, meanwhile, but what happened is you learn what you need to be doing next time in order to win. So maybe you lose at the area, but then the next time you win. So that's the benefit that we get. And I love talking to Toastmasters because some of you guests back there don't recognize this, is that Toastmasters is all about personal growth. And what you need to be doing to yourself is taking a look and asking, why haven't I competed? Why don't I go out and try to win a contest? And see if you're living the credo of Toastmasters, which is, even if you don't win, you'll grow by winning, and you keep trying because eventually you will be successful. I see our contestant is back, so I'm going to have 2 minutes of questions. Could you give me a time? Anybody have a question?
What's the time constraints? Because it feels like I can barely make it Toastmasters as it is.
Thank you, Jason. I hear that a lot. They say, I just don't have time to prepare speeches. And you know, I'm a professional coach. And whenever anybody tells me I don't have time, what they're actually saying is, this is not important enough for me. So I always challenge people, be courageous. Don't use the I don't have time. That's the same thing as the dog ate my homework. You know, we've all heard that before. The reality is you all have time if you make it a priority. However, Katrina is in the contest tonight. She came here as a functionary. She didn't have to do anything. All you have to do for 2 of our contests is, just show up and you're in the contest. Doesn't take much preparation. And I'm sure once Katrina has this experience up here, she'll embrace it even more in the future. So yes, it does take some time to put together a humorous speech or a tall tales or an international, but you will grow so much from that experience. Yes?
I know and heard the experiences from Michael Desiderio and Tom Osta on competing in the international stage. I want to know from you, how difficult is it? Just so you guys know, he had four finalists from past World Championships, and the one that won was in his heat. So
right.
I want to know.
Yeah, I picked one of the hardest, but that's just the way it is. The guy who won the whole thing was in my heat. But here's the funny thing. I come in there, there's 100 people, we break down, and there's 10 competitors, and there's 10 rows, and I'm sitting down. The guy sitting next to me, Kwang Yang Lee, I think his name was, I just had finished studying his video the week before because he came in second in the 2011 contest. So I said, Kwang, you're one of my heroes. You're a celebrity. It is, because these guys are fabulous speakers. So it was intimidating, but I'm going to tell you something. It was the growth from all of those other contests that allowed me to go in there and say, all I'm going to make sure that I do is deliver the best speech. And it was the best version of that speech that I had ever given. So I was really pleased. But it was intimidating. But Toastmasters, we say everybody has butterflies. But in Toastmasters, we get the butterflies to fly in formation. And they really did fly in formation that night. Any other questions? I got time for one more question. Ask yourself, why do we only have 2 contestants tonight? That is a challenge. So you have to think about it. There's a lot of reasons why people aren't competing. Change it for your club. Go back to your clubs, and I'll come speak at your club and talk to them. There is so much more to Toastmasters. I learned after 33 years, I am going to go to many more international conferences. Next year, even if I don't win to get to compete, next year it's in Chicago. The year after that, it's in Denver. So they're having it in the western part. So 2018, 2019, it's a tremendous experience. Toastmasters has so much to offer. Competing is one of the greatest opportunities you'll have for personal growth. Mr. Contest Chair.
Thank you. That was fantastic.